Hello, and we're live. When I say we, I mean I am. Alright. Oh man, I did it again. Did it again. Here's some coffee. I'm gonna whiten my teeth here and get them real nice and shiny white, so you gotta pardon how they look now. I'm gonna fast here pretty soon too, but that's another story. Hello, aloha, hola. Good to see you. 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time Monday. Woohoo! This podcast, I'm gonna chat, talk, I'm gonna say whatever I'm thinking about. But it's unscripted, but I have a plan, and it might last an hour, and I might play a few songs. Yeah, I have a cell phone. If somebody wants to get in touch with me, you can call me 619-371-8289. If you're in Portland, call me at 503-766-3122 or text me. I'm not a big phone person or text person, but if you're watching this, then hit me up if you want. This is espresso, but I made it like coffee, like a pour over coffee. I shaved the sides of my head. Yeah, looks a lot better. I like it better now. That was always the intent. And that was just the first shave. I'm gonna turn out pretty well. Yeah. See, this little mark right here, this was done by my father when I was a kid with a laser, against my will, unbeknownst to me, along with other marks around my body. It's terrible. I hate every fucking mark on my body that he put on there. But my father is a coward and a pitiful man, and I'm not gonna waste my time talking about him right now. But I'm gonna drink this coffee. I almost wore my University of Hawaii shirt. This was the last week of school at UH. Yeah, I was pretty stoked. I was actually gonna wear that shirt. I don't know how I wanted to wear this one. I was gonna wear this one next week. I was gonna wear my green University of Hawaii rainbow shirt. I just grabbed it. I like burgundy. But anyways, yeah, when I was living in Hawaii, I rented an apartment in Hilo and started attending UH Hilo for a year. And then right before I moved back to the mainland, I started with UH Manoa online from Hilo. And then I just returned back to the mainland and finished up the year of schooling. And then it just ended 2 days ago. I had a whole bunch of papers to do, so I had to, the last week of school, I had to write a bunch of papers. Yeah, so I think it went well. Now I'm in a crossroads right now. I'm trying to decide what I want to do with my next educational experience. I'm kind of torn between getting a master's at Arizona State University in education, so I could teach college again and high school again. It's kind of like a teaching credential, but it's a master's. And since I have a master's, it sounds like a good program. It sounds like it's a perfect program for me, actually, because I looked and looked and looked. The other option I was thinking about is just getting a creative writing certificate at a local college, like junior college, because I really like to write. And those are kind of fun, depending on the classes, but the fiction classes and creative writing classes at local colleges, attract a lot of interesting people. When I went to Long Beach City College, I took Jeff Epley's poetry class, and I was just impressed with the diversity in there. There's like, I had a Russian friend named Sarah Gay. There's like an older Asian lady. Something about the English department or journalism, which happened to be, I think, under the English department, so they wouldn't cut it, I think. Tends to be people, not just young people of all ages or older. Sometimes people go back to school for journalism or something, and maybe English or history. So anyways, but it was kind of cool to get the different perspectives from different generations and different types of people there, because we did that every week. We would print out copies of our poetry, and everybody would get a copy of the poems that we write. And we sit down and talk about it, what we thought, critique it and stuff. Yeah, it was a good way to get feedback and to grow as a poet, and I did. Yeah, he broke me of the habit of end rhyme slavery, so to speak. I was like a slave to end rhyme, because then I remember, and one of the reasons why is that when I was a kid, my dad said, well, if it doesn't rhyme, how do you know it's a poem? And my mom used to just say, well, because he says it's a poem. And he rolled his eyes. But yeah, poems don't have to rhyme. Sometimes they do. Sometimes by accident I rhyme. Excuse me. But yeah, it really freed me up. So in recent years, my poems have not felt the need to rhyme at all, but more of a need to tell a story, convey a thought, a feeling. If I can throw in a rhyme, that's great. But I've learned also, though, to not alter the meaning of the poem just to throw in a rhyme, and which is, I think, something that younger poets tend to do, because it's fun, or they're just, from the hip, go, oh yeah, well, this will sound catchy if I just tweak this. But it illustrates to me that they didn't have a coherent thought of what they were going to write about in the beginning, or they didn't want to stick to it, because, I don't like changing the whole entire poem just to make a rhyme. That's silly. But so yeah, I've grown a lot as a poet. I think I've written 2,623 poems so far. I'm about to publish my 36th book of poetry. And I've written, I think, 104 poems for it so far. Poetry is a good exercise. Good way to, it's kind of like a song without music. Anyways, so yeah, there's that, and then there's that, and I guess that's it. I guess we're done. Bye. Just kidding. Alright, here's my guitar. I mentioned last week about a guitar book that I wrote. It helps people solo in any key. I think I'm gonna play that after I tune up. I thought this would be like Mr. Rogers. You know how he puts his shoes on at the beginning of the show? I'll like tune up my guitar at the beginning of the podcast. Okay, I'm going to tune to standard tuning, but in 432 hertz. So it'll sound more pleasant than the 440 hertz that people are normally hearing. It's a little bit shrill. As I tune my G-string goes out of tune sometimes. And it reminded me of somebody, I want to say my college roommate, my first college roommate, said be careful of loaning your guitar or getting the guitar out of your sight, because some people like to mess up the tuning. And there's some kind of thing where non-guitarists like jack up the G-string tuning or something. It was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard, and I thought he was joking, but now my G-string is messed up after I sold it to my dad. and got it back. So I don't know what happened. I think that I had a guitar that got really messed up from the heater when I was in North Carolina, when it got hot and cold in that room. And I had brought it from Kauai, and I sold it because I didn't like how it changed. And then I got this guitar back right at the same time, so hopefully it didn't get damaged that way in that room or anything. It's possible, it could happen. Crazier things have happened. Too bad I have to turn up too loud to get that good crunchy sound. So it gets cleaner. That's the bad thing about these. I actually bought a pillow that I figured that I'd have to cover up an amplifier. I didn't think I'd have to cover up that one necessarily. It was the other one, the bigger one. But I could dampen it with that pillow actually. We got it. Hold on. Alright, so this is just a print copy of that book that I mentioned. Here's the key of D. I'll just turn to this one. Key of D. So if I got a sheet like this that says key of D on it, and I turn to it, and I want to play guitar, I could I have all my note options on one page in the key of D, from the open strings to the first fret to the 24th fret if you got them. So here's the E string, the high E string, in the key of D, all the notes. Okay, that's the octave. I can play, I can play guitar all day. In fact, I was just looking on Craigslist to see if anybody might be starting a band. And a bunch of people were, but I didn't see a good fit for me. It looked like people wanted a bassist or something else that wasn't me. That's okay. Let me borrow. If it's in the right spot, I can use it. Okay, so that's about it. I was just gonna jam a little bit. So the good thing about having this is, with my system, there is an objective way to play guitar in any key. Without it, it would be pretty tough. You'd have to do it by ear or by memory, if somehow you could figure out all these notes and see it and read it. Well, I don't know how else you would do it. Most people do it by ear and feel, which means they make some mistakes sometimes, and they don't have an objective criteria or way, or they use scales. And scales are okay, but scales are inside of keys. Key is like the greatest common denominator because every song is written in a different key. So finding out the key of a song, then you can turn to this page and play lead to it. Even if there's no lead in it, you can create your own lead. That's kind of fun. Good exercise too. So this book's also good for song creation or learning to play leads. I like these picks. These are like a little bit bigger than normal, and they're triangular. Yeah, this I don't know. It just seems more to grip on. It's better. Dunlop makes them. Well, I have a guitar student right now that is writing an album, and it's pretty exciting. Yeah, he's got a bunch of songs for it, and he needs a bunch more. So I'm happy to help him write the songs that he needs, but it's really him. But it's fun though. I think the first songs came pretty quickly, and now it's going to be interesting. It's awesome just going through those motions that musicians go through to put albums on record. You know, and how like the first songs are maybe the best, and the second half of the album maybe not, but you still want good songs, and you're still cool. And yeah, you know what I mean? He's got a few weeks left more, and he's got to go to class to do the recordings. So I can't wait to hear it. I think it's going to sound pretty good. I've taught him for about 2 years. He had never played when I taught him. His grandma bought him a new left-handed guitar, kind of an off-brand, cheap one. And after about a year or so, he upgraded and got a Fender lefty. that's pretty guitar too. And yeah, he's good. He's good kid. He's been practicing really hard and he's gotten a lot better. So I'm happy that he can make the album. Yeah, and that I can help. Because I've written music and then recordings and led groups. And so I may not be like, big time recorder, but a lot of people are small time recorders and know how to do it. Yeah, there's a lot of ins and outs. I used to use Cakewalk as a digital multi-track recorder for recording my guitar stuff. Now I use either just a simple voice recorder or Guitar Tracks Pro, it's called, I think. GarageBand, that's it. Yeah, GarageBand. Comes with Apple products. Yeah, I think there used to be a paid program a long time ago, but GarageBand's pretty good. It's a little complicated. It took a while to figure out all the controls on it, but I have it down pretty well now. How would it be minor? C sharp minor. This is the movable minor chord. I have an effects pedal. Maybe I'll plug that in next time. I've got a wah-wah pedal, a mini wah, which works just as good as the full-size wah, but it's a lot smaller and lighter. And I've got a digital multi-effects pedal that's got all kinds of effects on it, from reverb, flanger. I think it has delay, but I can't remember if I've heard delay on there. It's got like chorus and phaser and basically a whole bunch of presets that you can mix and match to have different guitar sounds and stuff. Have you ever heard of somebody having a weapon that shoots you in the mouth that makes you lisp? Well, when I was a kid, around holidays, my family was all in the military. My grandpa, naval aviator in World War II in Korea. My father was drafted in the army and then they said no thanks. My uncle joined the army to fight in Vietnam and earned a Purple Heart and a Silver Star, and my other uncle joined the Air Force, and then I think my grandpa on my other side of my family was also a veteran. But so yeah, they told me about. There's my uncle told me about a weapon that they can do that and hit you in the mouth when you're talking, and make you sound like you've got a lisp all of a sudden out of nowhere. Because I don't have a fucking lisp, and I sure as hell ain't fucking gay. But some fucker might want me to be lisping, because he thinks that might help his ass raping style stay out of prison. Criminals that don't get caught and keep committing crimes to avoid getting caught really have no morals, no integrity. They really just gotta be brought to justice. way to mute the E chord. Usually you palm mute it, but you can do it with your pinky. If you like my guitar playing, check back on my Instagram page. Although I just started a new Instagram page for my guitar teaching business, and I want to start recording and uploading videos to that instead of my personal Instagram page, kind of like for work. Or maybe I'll do both sometimes, or what have you. But it's Play Guitar USA. That's the website. And I love gay people, by the way. Just because I'm not gay, it doesn't mean I don't like gay people at all. I do like gay people and support gay people. I don't know what to tell you. I've always been a heterosexual person and confident of my sexuality. So most people are still okay with that. Scare some people or makes some people sad, I guess. Upset, angry. Who knows? But I'm just a straight white guy. Yeah. Very bad person who wanted me to be gay after he did a horrible things to me. But I'd rather not get into that right now. Alright. Well, this podcast is called Wait Until My Hair Grows Out. Because I'm going to grow out my hair longer. I cut it really short because I wasn't feeling too well. I wanted to get well. And I wanted to take a good look at my skull and everything and make sure everything was checking out okay. Because I couldn't quite see to the bottom through my hair. And it's all good. I'd say okay. Yeah, I purchased some pretty nasty stuff, but if you take a real good close look at my face, you could see probably what happens and what's happening. For instance, and if you really follow along, look at my video from last week and look real closely at my jaw, and you can probably see the way that I was attacked there. And what else? Yeah, wait until my hair grows out. That's what my mom said I should do after I turn 50. She also said that I should tell everybody I know that my father wants to kill me. I think that's how I was supposed to start this podcast, is by announcing that. Because my father did horrendous things to me and my mother and told me I couldn't think about it until I turned 50. She said to tell everybody that he's trying to kill me and wants me dead. And that he's probably going to start trying to kill me before I even turn 50. And looking back, I think I see what she means, and she's dead. And she felt threatened that she was going to die. And she was real clear about it. And he had veiled threats, and she said she would go testify, when I woke up at 50. And so he did not want her waking up. And she died in surgery. She was fixing her rear end in surgery and forced to say it was like diverticulitis surgery by him, even though it wasn't diverticulitis. And she died due to sepsis under suspicious circumstances, and then she was cremated against her will. And she told me, she said, Jason, don't let him cremate me. I don't want to be cremated. And when I was a little kid, and I was out of the state when she died, and I didn't understand. And I was out of it. I was really in shock too, and I was really sad. I didn't think she was going to die right then. You know, it seemed like it was a pretty routine surgery. And so I was blown away that she died then. Her mom lived like, I think, 15 years longer than she did, roughly. My mom lived to be about 66 or 67, and my grandma lived to be about 83. So my mom died in 2017 in June, and she was born in 48 in September. No, January, sorry. She was born in January in 48. So 52 plus 16. Yeah, she was 66. She would have been 67 in September, and she died on the first day of summer in June. In the hospital where I was born, at Rosemont Hospital in La Mesa, California. I even saw how she signed her rights away, and how she wasn't going to be able to sue, or how we can't sue, because it basically said they could mess up and she could die and she can't do anything about it. It was really weird. And that's basically what happened. So we don't have recourse. We don't know if the surgeon was drunk before, but my father said that they messed up the surgery and they accidentally cut open her small intestine and then realized it when it was too late. I don't know if that's true necessarily. She could have been poisoned before the surgery. So it's really tough to tell. I was pretty far removed from it at the time. Although I did talk to her pretty recently before she went in. She went into the hospital a few times in a row. They fitted her with a colostomy bag before this surgery. And I remember speaking to her after that happened, because it was leaking and causing problems, and she said that they attached it upside down, and my father was freaking out because he's a germaphobe, and he injured one of his eyes decades ago and can barely see, and so he's always been horrified that germs were going to take his good eye and that he'd be blind, and so he's always been amazingly afraid of germs and hates germs and wants us to be as clean as possible. And sees it a threat to his actual life if it's not right. It's just super thin. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a real shame. It's a shame just to see how people are powerless against really terrible people sometimes. At least in the short term. At least some people. It's really disconcerting and frustrating and angry. If I really think about it. I try not to think about it or let it get to me. But I think it's on the same lines as people just not standing up for injustice, or whatever it is, wherever it is. It's just another injustice that people are too lazy to stand up against. I don't know. Where should I go in Oregon? What's beautiful around Portland? What's nice here? I'm gonna get out and see some stuff here before too long. The weather's nice finally. Yeah, there's a garden nearby I'm gonna check out and I'll take some pictures of that. These podcasts aren't too bad. I think I will do another podcast or two. Definitely one more next week. Maybe one more the next week. Maybe I'll keep going. Who knows? I've been amazingly fortunate that everything has went perfectly fine with these video recordings, which is I'm kind of surprised because normally something goes wrong. But this is the third week in a row that I've recorded a live podcast and recorded a backup video and backup audio, and everything has worked 100% according to plan. So I'm fortunate that I have the equipment to be able to do this and the ability. I'm imagining this will be a short set of podcasts and then I'll quit here around the time the summer begins. But we'll see. You know, if I think of a real solid theme and message that I want to talk about repeatedly or get into, maybe I'll continue. Or maybe do some of these in different areas or outside or cafes. Pardon me. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna want to do a million just right here like this. Maybe have guests or do something funny. I've got a real good microphone that I can plug in, so I can take this on the road somewhere. And I could do it with my iPad or my iPhone. I'm not sure if the quality would be as good if I just used the iPhone. Who knows? It's too bad to see so many people in politics, like, you know, barking up the wrong tree all the time and majoring in the minors. It seems like there's a handful of things that are vitally important to every single human being. But the partisans in America want everybody to focus on other things. And part of the time about how the other one's terrible. Really doesn't get us anywhere, at least not quickly. And everybody's talking about these deals Trump's doing and the tariffs, and they're concerned about the deals, but I'd be concerned about the deals that you don't hear about. You know? This sounds like a way, not a scam, but it sounds like a way for Trump to get people to do deals with him directly. You know, if the Prime Minister of the UK came over and did, and so on and so forth, which makes them vulnerable to do a backroom deal or some other personal deal quite easily too. So it's kind of smart if you think about it for Trump personally to do this, because it could have a good economic effect in the long run if businesses come back here and if inflation irons out and if I don't know, if people don't mind paying a lot more for products somehow, or get paid more to buy the products. I don't know, it's an unenviable situation for the government to be over $36 trillion in debt, never pass a balanced budget. Yeah, and also at the same time keep talking about how they want to be fiscally responsible. It's kind of like somebody at the bottom of a hole that's saying like, I want to be out of this hole, but they're not trying to get out of the hole. They're just like laying there or sitting in the hole, saying, I wish I was out of this hole. So the only way to be fiscally responsible as a government is for them to pass balanced budgets and not spend more money than they get. And they never do that anymore. And the debt keeps rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. And the U.S. Credit Agency just got dinged which used to be like a big sign, although it only dropped from like A plus to A plus or A minus or whatever. It was a tiny drop. But way back when people used to project and think and wonder about the future, that was supposed to be a huge negative sign. I should go check out the Rapture Ready website and see what Todd Strandberg is saying now. He's kind of an interesting Navy veteran. But yeah, so since the U.S. credit rating has dropped, people might get off the U.S. reserve currency and cause other problems. There should be over $40 trillion in government debt by the time Trump leaves office, which is just an unfathomable number. It's going to affect like future borrowing and other things. It's kind of ironic that they're trying to champion Americanism and American production and this and that at the same time they're downgrading the debt. And the Dow Jones stock market index was up over 300 points on the same day. So it's like just people don't care and people just want to make money, and the stock market is not a barometer of the economy at all. It keeps reminding us of that fact. And the government can tank the country and some businesses will keep thriving because people need to buy stuff. We've got unstoppable GDP. So always going to be businesses making money doing something. But that's not to say that there's not a gigantic debt that needs to be fixed. And I looked it up at some other countries to see if they had debts and stuff too, like Canada. And Canada has debt, but it's a lot smaller than the U.S. debt. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here in the next few minutes. If there's anything that you want to hear on this podcast, let me know or see, and I can see what I can do. Oh man, I'm not real excited about recording a video of my body. My body's got some weirdness to it. It grew and evolved really strangely and got injured uniquely due to the way it was assaulted when I was very little. And it caused me to stand weird, sit weird, and so on. And my mom knew it too, and she told me it's worse when I'm tired and I should take a video if I ever try to change it or think I can change it. Part of it has to do with me not standing on the balls of my feet and locking my legs. And part of it is the reason is because of an injury, and I didn't develop some muscles. And part of the reason is I was assaulted by a psychopath, and that was the way that my body evolved and changed to deal with the pain, which made him angry and tried to hurt me worse and in other ways, even to this day. And I'm not joking. And my mother knew about it full well, and I think there might be some others that know about it. I'm very confident that justice will be served and that people won't be ignorant about the psychopath that's been doing horrible things to people. And my mother wanted me to seek justice this year. She in fact gave me a roadmap of sorts and told me who to see, who not to see, who she talked to in Bible study about X, Y, and Z, which old friends of mine would be there and which ones wouldn't, and so on and so forth. And strangely, I'm a much different person now than I was back then, but that's just the way it is. Sometimes people are the way they are because of the way they began and the way that they were treated. It's a real simple equation. So I'm happy about the way that I've become. I'm stoked I'm not religious anymore. I don't think anybody in your right mind would have imagined that I could have matured this much in this lifetime with the family that I came from. But I did, and now it's time to get justice and take a different path. I'm changing my name, like I said. I'm gonna do that either in the spring or the summer, and that'll be good. But I'm keeping my first name because my mom liked my first name, and it means healer, and that's not gonna change. Yeah. And my parents discussed this a long time ago about me changing my name. My mom knew that I would want to, and my father even said, "Oh, maybe I would want to change it to whatever." And I thought about that, and I don't. I'm gonna change it to what I want to change it to. I've only told one person about it. Yeah, I told my aunt, and that is. But I'll tell everybody after it's done legally. I'm not a big like pre-announcement guy. I'd rather tell you after I do it and after it's done. As much as I can. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't want the name Gastrich. It's a stupid name anyway. And it has a stupid connotation now that I see it with my father that I don't want. That I don't deserve. I don't need that stigma. That I don't care if it costs me what it costs me. I'm done. So I'm stoked on that. Yeah, that's well, my Twitter handle right now is called The Last Gastrich. Yeah, a good man. My poor mom, she was so sad that she married my dad. She was so disappointed and felt so screwed. She called him a dud. Said that she was embarrassed and she apologized to me and said she thought he was somebody else and that he tricked her and then he's actually a really bad guy and she had no idea that anybody could actually even be that bad. She said she was from a small North Carolina town, raised by her grandma, uneducated, and just a high school education, and my father kind of just swept her off her feet and basically had a plan after he allegedly got raped and pooped blood and then couldn't hold his shit anymore. Apparently, that's how the story went. Because she complained about it, and he tried to hide it or tried to not eat after a certain time or whatever. But she said that his underwear always smelled like shit, and that he has accidents and shit stains all the time. And he said it was because he got raped. But then he's also mentioned something or whatever about other sex he could have had in his 60s and jamming other stuff up his butt. I don't put anything on my butt. So it led that degenerate to say stuff like everybody in the military rapes people with the butt, or if you don't, then you're not in the club. And I really ought to spread that rumor around, and my mom cautioned me before saying anything. But that's what he said. He said both of my uncles were raped and raped somebody anally. And he said my grandpa never talked about it, but he thinks it happened to my grandpa too. And it happened to him, but he said it only really happens if you're the in group or people like you. It happens both ways, but people, if they don't like you, don't want you around, then they might not do it to you, or just do it to you and then get you out of there and don't let you break somebody else. And that's what happened to him, apparently, according to him. Is after he blinded himself and harmed his brother with a laser, he sodomized him. And so that was the kind of person that my mom got. And she didn't realize that she hated anal sex and called it rape. And that's what he wanted. And he was unashamed about it and said that he deserved it. And it had to do with God and the Bible. And she's had to submit because she was the wife. It was pretty pathetic. It was really wrong and disgusting and bad. And I can't believe that nobody ever stepped in to stop it or help my mom out of everybody. And now he thinks that me finally coming forward and telling the Oklahoma police and pursuing this is actually a black eye on all kinds of other people and never said a word about anything that he knew. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. All I know is what happened to me and what the truth is. It would have been difficult for somebody in my mom's Bible study, I think, to call the cops on my dad. But it wouldn't have been impossible. They could have done it. It would have broken trust maybe, or changed lives maybe, but it could have been done. Just like an old principal, or somebody like that, or an old coach. There was all sorts of people that could have spoken up. And there were actually several people throughout my life that have said something that, like, they will come forward or come talk to them in this day and time, that they would be my ally and on my side, and that if I do want to talk about this or pursue this or what have you, then they'll be there for me. Many people said that in various ways, but I was told not to think about it, and I was told I was brainwashed, and I was just supposed to nod or just blow them off and not acknowledge anything about that at all. And so I had friends that would literally try to talk to me about that in sort of coded ways, or just say, like, I know you're not supposed to think about this, and so you're not going to talk about it or think about it, but this is doing this to me, or I feel this way about this, and I hope it works out, but come talk to me when you turn 50 or something. Yeah. I had some friends that were just not down with the way that my body was after I was abused, and I didn't understand. Yeah. And they tried to tell me to some degree, as much as somebody, your peer, would tell you in that situation. That that friendship, it just kind of wasn't working out. But don't get me wrong, I had a group of core friends and we did a lot with each other and hung out and stuff. But now I need to reconnect with a lot of these people and see what the hell really happened and which issues did they not talk to me about, what did I not understand, which blind spots did I have when we were friends and hanging out, and what do you remember about X, Y, and Z? Because my family was actually kind of known a little bit in my city for whatever, soccer, or just raising me and being there all the time at church or wherever. My father wasn't a big church guy, but my mom was. But he would go on Sunday until we stopped going. We went pretty much until I turned, 17, religiously, and moved to college. So yeah, I don't wish religion on anybody. I think it's terrible. I wish I was never religious. Religion is a total and complete joke. My father wants to scare me into thinking that I need to be an actor, like I need to kiss somebody's butt and put on a show, and he's gonna pretend like I'm the psychopath and that I've made up all these stories about him and he's been nothing but good and nice. And He's never done anything like bad to me. So yeah, be ready for a gigantic charade. But I know the truth, I'm not a liar. Somebody can put voices in my head that mimic women, children, men, whoever, but it ain't gonna scare me. I'm on good terms with those people. There's a real sad psychopath, rapist, user that fears all kinds of people, and the afterlife, and God, and me, and they should fear authority for what they've done. And that's all I can say. I hope I don't look like I'm scared or sound like it, because I can't say I'm scared, but I do say that I've been injured and harmed by somebody who wants to scare me. And it's pretty pathetic. Today I wrote a poem about my father, and it just had one word in it 11 times, and that word was pitiful. Pitiful. Yeah. Pitiful. Yeah. Somebody that does the unthinkable like that is just pitiful. Rapes wife, rapes son, and harms both of them over and over and over for years and years and years, and has no intent to stop. That's deranged. So God will take care of them. I don't believe in a sovereign God. Look around. I don't believe in a personal God. You don't want to have to discern whose voice is whose in your head. But I do believe in a God that will probably judge every single person on all of their deeds and misdeeds. That's just a personal belief. Yeah, I think there's a greater chance there's a creator than not a creator, and I think there's probably going to be some accountability regarding our actions. And people that do terrible things to other people will have a worse eternity. I don't know about purgatory, but will have either a punishment or a tarnished, lesser eternity. Yeah. I don't think people, like karma, for instance, I don't think people are getting away with anything at all in this life. I think religion is shit, and I think religious people have a lot of power right now. And they're going to harm people if they don't get in line in certain ways. And religion needs to end, and people need to get on with their lives and evolve into better people than religion lets people be. But we're all on a journey. I got saved when I was 7. I went to Christian schools for grades 1 through 12. I went to Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary in Virginia to pursue a master's, and I made the dean's list. And I ended up earning a PhD eventually in biblical studies. And then I lived outside for 8 years. And then I concluded that Jesus is not God, didn't claim to be God, and that the Bible is counterproductive nonsense that's harmful and doesn't let people meet their potential. And so there we go. I was told by my father that that would be an extraordinarily honorable path. That people would be patting me on the back, praising me, hugging me, thanking me day and night. If I became a Christian, trusted, believed, lived it 100%, got as educated as humanly possible, and even experienced homelessness like Jesus, and then came to the conclusion that it wasn't true. My father is a lying sack of shit, a Christian, but he said that people would be just blown away and ready to listen and follow the truth if I've determined that Jesus and the scriptures were not true. And I'm not saying Jesus isn't true, but Jesus never wrote anything, so whoever wrote about Jesus was wrong, lying. So, and feel free to respect me or not respect me. If I'm talking to a religious person, you can call me doctor if you want. That's appropriate. And since that's the field I've got a doctorate degree in, I don't use that title on my everyday basis because I am not in that field anymore. I experienced Christian ministry. I directed a nonprofit Christian organization, and we did some good things. Some of them were just Christian-y, like weekly Christian Bible devotions, and then some of them were like in the public. We did beach cleanups, and people worked off community service hours at our office, and so there was some positive benefit to society, not just with religion. Even though it was a 501c3, religious Christian nonprofit. It was good. It was a good experience. I could do something like that again. I was thinking about doing that with an environmental nonprofit. And I was talking to some friends about the board for that even. I was going to do it in Hawaii, but I might end up doing it on the West Coast or the East Coast, or who knows. It's always there. It's a formula that works pretty well. Starting a nonprofit and then seeing who needs to work off community service hours, and then you've got volunteers right there. And then if it's a good cause, or there's some incentive or prize, people like to come and volunteer. Back when we did it, Disneyland was giving away free passes, so my nonprofit, for several months, we got a bunch of free Disneyland passes for everybody that came and volunteered, so hundreds and hundreds of people came. Then when they dried up, after like 4 months, then there was only about like 50 people came that actually had community service hours, or just wanted to volunteer. Which is fun. I was happy to see anybody down there. But incentives always help. I was amazed at the amount of trash they pulled out too there in Pacific Beach. Like that 1 block stretch from where the boardwalk is to the water is where we tried to focus, up and down for a couple blocks or so. But they brought back tons of garbage. That is really phenomenal. It's like, just think about that junk blowing into the ocean and having to swim in that. That's disgusting. Okay, well, it looks like I've reached an hour, and no need to talk your ear off for this to get stale, so aloha.